Hello everyone, welcome to Carnivorous Plants Hub. Today I'm going to be moving my plants that have been in dormancy from the tent inside my garage outside into the sun. First off, I have to apologize for this video being a bit stale. I've had a lot going on and haven't been able to commit to editing. I'm finally getting some free time back and wanted to still put this video out because I think it contains some pretty important information. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to share some great tips on acclimation, arranging your plants, watering, and I'm going to be talking a lot about the natural, pet-friendly pest control mix that I've been using this year to combat thrips, aphids, spider mites, and several other types of pests. Moving all these plants around might be one of my least favorite things to do, but I do love the result. It makes me happy to see my plants outside and in a more natural environment for them. They will now be free to consume insects and hit their stride during the growing season. First thing that we have to do is get all the plants out of the trays and then move the trays up to the outside table. To start this process, I just grab them one at a time and set them on my garage floor. Once I get all the plants moved out of the trays, I can rinse the trays out and move them up to the outside table. One of the big considerations to make is acclimation. There are a couple different ways to help you acclimate. If your plants have been under a grow light, leading into this process, you can really ramp up those hours in the last couple of weeks. For the last 2 weeks, I've had my grow lights on for 14 total hours. This helps the plants get ready for the real sun. Grow lights never quite hit plants quite as hard as the real sun though. If you're moving your plants into full summer sun, you want to introduce them slowly. For me, we have highs in the mid 70s right now, and most days are partially cloudy. So my acclimation will be pretty natural, going from 14 hours of grow lights to partially sunny days. Just keep a really close eye on your plants. If you see any burning of the leaves after you move them out, you might want to reduce how much sun they're getting for the first couple of weeks, or you can buy a shade cloth that blocks out some of the sun. Here's a quick shot of all the chaos all over my garage floor. Now the next thing that I do is I load them all up into a couple of bins, and my wife helps me move them up to the outside table. I could take them 2 at a time and try to get my 15K steps in, but I decided to move all the Flytraps up in the bins. I did grab the Sarracenia and bring them up individually. They can be a little bit trickier to bring up because the tall pitchers tend to sway back and forth, so I like to give them a little bit of extra support as I bring them up. Here's a quick look at the table that I'm moving them up to. Next year I'm going to have to upgrade to a bigger table, as all the trays actually fit pretty perfectly on this table now, so there's not a lot of room for expansion. Real quick, before we get the plants moved to the new table, I wanted to thank you so much for stopping by. If you're enjoying this content, make sure to pour some water on the like button and subscribe to help my channel grow. Also, head on over to my website if you're in the market for the best carnivorous plant substrate on the market. I have repotting kits that come with substrate and a planter that takes all the guesswork out of repotting. I spent years perfecting my substrate mix. It's a pretty special blend that not only functions well, but looks great with crushed glass in it instead of sand. Head on over to my website, carnivorousplanthub.com, to see how I make the soil and how you can get your hands on some. Once I have the bins all moved up, I can now start loading them into their new spots. I did rinse the trays out pretty good, but some of the trays are pretty stained, which I think is alright. I try to wash these out at least once a month during the growing season. The trays can harbor some algae, mold, and some other gross stuff if you don't rinse them out a little bit. When I move my plants onto the table, I really have to think about what goes where. What is the path of the sun and which plants are taller and can shade the others out? I strategically place my Sarracenia in the back of the table. The sun travels mostly in front of the table. This helps ensure that the Sarracenia pitchers do not block the sun out for the Venus flytraps or other plants. If you have taller and shorter planters, you really have to think about where they all sit. Sometimes the taller planters can shade the smaller planters out and really impact how much sun that they get. It's a good idea to know the area you're putting your plants, understand the path of the sun, and really plan out how you want your plants to sit on the table or the area that they're at. Once I get them all on the table, it's now time to fill up the water trays. From here on out, unless the temp's really cool or we get some rain, I'll be trying to keep these full most of the time, especially when it's really hot outside. You really don't want these trays drying up. If you have a few days in the 70s, I think it's totally fine to let the tray dry up for a day or two. I've even seen some recent studies saying that allowing the tray to dry out occasionally is really good for the plants. It allows natural aeration to occur in the substrate. I don't know all the exact science, but it allows the substrate to develop air pockets and makes better conditions for the roots. If it's wet all the time, these air pockets never form. Keep in mind though, you never want your Flytrap pot to be 100% dried out. If your substrate is getting dry at the top where the plant is, it's been too long without water. Never let it get this dry. Now that the plants are on the table and the trays have been filled with water, let's talk about the natural pet-friendly pest control mix that I've been using this year. It looks like Nova will be joining us with her green feet from the freshly mowed lawn. Before I go too far though, I have to give just about all the credit to Sarracenia Northwest. They run an amazing carnivorous plant nursery in Oregon and came out with a video a bit back with this recipe. They've been using it for years with great success. Previously, I've been using a miticide at the first sign of pest. It works well, but I don't like going with a miticide unless it gets really bad. This recipe is more of a preventative one I can use whenever I want. We have chickens, bunnies, cats, dogs, so I'm really excited to use something that's really pet friendly. If you want more information about this mix, including other options, please check out Sarracenia Northwest video. I'll have it linked in the description of this video. I promise it's worth a watch. I learned a ton. This mix that we're going to talk about today works well for all pests, and you can use it on all your carnivorous plants, even pings. I do strongly recommend making a batch, spraying one of your plants, and waiting a couple of days to make sure there are no negative effects. This should give you some peace of mind before you spray your entire collection. Here was my test plant that I sprayed before spraying all my other plants, and you can see there were no negative effects from the pest control mix. I'll show you all the ingredients and give the recipe. Everything I show you here I bought off of Amazon. The links for everything you see here is in the description if it's something that you're interested in trying. The first thing that you're going to need is a pump pressure sprayer. This is just a 1 gallon. The recipe I'm giving you today makes 1 gallon of the mix. I'll keep the sprayer apart and only use it for this mix. That way I don't have to worry about it having anything bad in it. I even purchased a set of measuring spoons just for this process. The first ingredient is an insect killing soap concentrate by the Safer brand. The next one that you're going to see here is a Neem Bliss oil by Plantonics. Your Neem oil might arrive chunky if it's been kind of cold. Just put the bottle in some warm water and it turns right back into an oil. This is something I actually had to do. The last ingredient that I have here is an essential oil. The Neem oil and the insect soap actually kind of smell bad. The essential oil makes the mix very pleasant, and the essential oils I picked, orange and rosemary, both have bug repellent properties. So not only does it help with the smell, but it's scents that repel insects. I like to have 2 scents so the insects never adapt to the smell. I alternate between orange and rosemary. When you're getting your mix ready, make sure to fill the pressure sprayer first. This will help you avoid a lot of foam, which can be super annoying. If you put the ingredients in first and then fill it, it'll foam up pretty bad. Once it's filled to the gallon mark, let's add 1 tablespoon of neem oil. Next, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of insect killing soap. And finally, 1 tablespoon of the essential oil that you picked. I do recommend this Now brand. Other essential oils can be less potent, and I know this to be a good brand with good oils. Once we get our 3 ingredients added in there, go ahead and put the lid on and it's time to shake it up. It needs to be shaken up pretty well so that the oil and the water will mix. I also recommend shaking it up every few minutes while you're spraying. The oils in the water tend to separate if you do not. I spray it fairly generously. Usually the plant is dripping a bit. I also use the mix on some of my shrubs that get attacked viciously by aphids and some of our rose bushes. I've been using it for about a month now and it works super well, especially against aphids. I recommend spraying once every 1 to 2 weeks to keep up as preventative, or spray as soon as you see signs of the pests. There's a certain kind of irony in spraying carnivorous plants with a pest control to keep certain insects away. So far, this does not seem to repel any flies or other insects that the flytraps will catch and eat. So this is definitely a win-win. You can store any of the unused mix in a dry, cool area. Just make sure that you mix it up really well before you spray again. I also wanted to call out that you should not apply this mix during direct sun. Sun can reverse the effects of some of the ingredients. I recommend applying after the sun goes down in the evening so it has all night to set before seeing the sun again. All right, I think my plants are pretty happy now. They'll be in full sun, they're all watered, and are protected from pests. I'm excited to be getting some time back moving forward so I can start posting videos regularly again. Keep your eyes open for a lot more coming out soon. I have some really fun stuff in the works. Thank you again, everyone, for stopping by today. I really hope to catch you in my next video. Bye.